what I thought was challenging and what I really want to play on was कि जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो तो एक चीज है, the things which you are saying is a different thing, but also what he's thinking that needs to go across.
Yeah.
Audience need to connect with even his thoughts, the way he
Oh,
thinks, how he strategizes. In a situation, he takes time to respond. I knew that this might be an end of season three before season two released.
oh.
So I knew कि this might be one of the endings which the makers, the director is looking at of
Right,
season three.
right.
Pehle, it was supposed to happen in a very different way.
Okay.
There was
That was a different shift.
there was an ambush, there was an encounter, an ambush kind of a thing. In fact, if you see, like probably if you go back and see, and even if any of the viewers will have a second watch,
Yeah.
everything is planted. And in the world of Mirzapur, when you go back, when you see any season again, you realize ki, oh, acha, haan, these were the things already there.
So, welcome to News 18 Showsha. I'm Yatamanyu Narain, and today I'll be talking to the last king of Mirzapur. Yes, you heard it right. I am with the very talented Anjumm Shharma. Hello, Anjumm. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? So thank
I'm
you. I just laughed a bit
right.
the way you have this
Introduce
is
you.
what, yeah, introduced me, and this is why I'm laughing is that because everybody these days are
Calling you
also,
last.
yeah, last king of Mirzapur.
Right, right, right. So, I mean, Anjumm, Mirzapur has been a significant part of your career. So, what's the story behind you landing the role, and what primarily attracted you to this character? And I've also heard that you auditioned for Munna's character as well. So, what's the story behind that?
So basically, the journey started long back in 2017.
Yeah.
I was auditioning, we were, the
Hmm.
major part of our days used to be auditioning for different roles, movies. Uh, the long format had just come in. It was still
OT.
coming in. Yeah, OTT was still coming in.
Hmm.
So there was a show which was getting made on cricket. It was called
Hmm.
Inside Edge.
Inside it, yeah.
Yeah, and I had auditioned for one of the primary parts. In fact, I almost got that part also. I was confirmed, but eventually, because of some reason, they wanted to go with some other actor, and
Right,
that couldn't turn up for me.
right, right.
Uh, obviously, it was quite. I was a little disheartened, but anyways, and as an actor, you move on. Certain
Yeah,
things happen, certain things doesn't happen, and then it so happened that after some time, I realized that Excel Media and Entertainment are making another show in the long format,
hmm.
and it's like it's a show based on the heartland, on the crime world, and very gritty and real. So again, I was quite interested and intrigued with this concept and this project, and I wanted to be a part of it. So, people who were casting for it, Abhishek Banerjee and
Yeah,
Anmol
yeah,
casting day. Abhishek is a friend, so I
yeah,
told him. Rather, I persuaded him that I want to audition for some of the main parts.
yeah,
Knowing that the parts which I had heard of, the primary cast in the first season, I
yeah,
couldn't have fit into most of those roles. I knew
yeah.
that myself because the kind of casting is such an
It's a
integral part.
precise. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to be very precise.
it's an art. It's a thing
Yeah,
which needs so much of precision and
yeah.
detail. Ki who are
It
you
can
cast?
make or break a project.
Who
Yeah.
are you casting? Which actor are you casting for which character and all that? So I knew myself that I don't think so I'll be fitting into any of those roles, but still, जैसे actor का लालच जो होता है, I wanted him, so I just persuaded him कि नहीं यार, at least let me audition for any part. So he said, okay, you audition for Munna.
Right.
So I just wanted to audition, I just wanted to be somehow have that experience of at least audition for a part
Mm-hmm.
which belongs to a project which I desperately want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So with that intention, I did the audition, knowing that I don't really fit into that role. But
Do
anyway,
that.
I gave the audition. Uske baad, there was one more role. It was a cop, and
Okay.
I
Okay.
wanted to do that. And suddenly, when in those times when I used to hear any role which is based on a cop, or they're auditioning any actor in that zone, I used to be very this thing because most of the times I was auditioning for roles which are cops or gangsters, cops or gangsters. So I was like, "Arey yaar, ye to
You-
cop hai. This is to for me. I definitely fit into it because this is what I've been doing otherwise
right.
also these days.
The
I'm
part that
auditioning.
went to Amit Sehal ji.
Yeah.
Right.
So later on, I got to know that they are looking for an actor who looks slightly mature, slightly older in
Right.
age.
Right.
And I was like, chalo, theek hai, ye role bhi gaya. And anyways, by then they had already, finalized most of their primary cast. And I was
Right.
like, here again, theek hai, whatever I mean, everything is done. Now they are supposed to go on shoot and, all these things are going to
Right.
start now. Suddenly, 15, 20 days before they went on floors, I got a call from the office and the director that, we are looking for a role. We want to cast an
Right.
actor, which is just an introduction this season.
Right.
Probably if we make subsequent seasons, the role would be expanded in, much more.
Right.
But this is, I'm talking about 2017. Even this long format was so new.
Right.
We didn't know what is actually a season one or a season two or a season three. Subsequent seasons were even not even part of our daily conversations.
Right.
So I didn't know, what is going to happen. But anyways, one always want to be a part of good scripts. That has always been my intention. Ki, if
अच्छे से. Yeah.
हाँ कि अगर आपको बड़े रोल और लीड रोल और प्रोटैगनिस्ट के रोल्स अगर नहीं ऑफर हो रहे हैं तो एटलीस्ट यू नीड टू बी पार्ट ऑफ गुड स्क्रिप्ट गुड कंटेंट बिकॉज दैट इज हाउ यू अटैच योरसेल्फ with a
Hmm.
credible project. So
Hmm.
that was my intention, and that was also one of the reasons why that moment I did Made in Heaven and Mirzapur together,
Yeah.
season one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the script, the scene which
Interesting.
they gave me, the first scene which they gave me, it was a very well written scene. It
Yeah.
was those, the classical thing that in any good script or a good scene, there is a proper beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
So that scene had that. There is a character, a new character which is introduced.
Yeah.
The character is introduced, and then he has a conflict with his father. Uske baad he moves on, and he says something about he rather suggests and gives a suggestion
To move.
to his father
Yeah.
about कालीन भैया
Move.
कि अगर आपको उनको मारना है तो आप उनको किसी न्यूट्रल ग्राउंड पे मारिए and then
Right.
he's just saying कि नहीं 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 मुन्ना is actually not a problem वो तो एक कमजोर कड़ी है
हाँ हाँ
उसके
हाँ
ऊपर ध्यान मत दीजिए you need to focus on कालीन भैया.
हाँ हाँ
So
हाँ.
this writing tells us कि यार here is one new character which has just been introduced. He
हाँ
is making a comment on the biggest characters and the drama of the show.
हाँ
So
जी.
that itself positions the character in a very in a very strong in a strong way.
Right.
So that I liked, and then immediately I just wanted कि हाँ ठीक है I want to be a part of it. और वहां से
Right.
वो चीज शुरू हुई. I shot it. I came back. I didn't even know कि ठीक है करके भूल गए वाली बात. Then
Right.
I came back, and then after a year when the show was released, season one, it became such a huge thing.
It.
Mirzapur, and all that. And what happened in my character was कि they chose to do a promise right at the end of the season.
Yeah.
They left audience hungry, and they
Yeah.
just gave into they just gave a cue to the audience कि probably if whenever we make a season two of this show,
Yeah.
we don't know whatever else happens in the story, that's a different thing, but definitely this character is going to go ahead and you will see more of it. So
Right.
that was a promise which was made. Or is वजह से I think in season two my character really had a very prominent position in the script in the show.
Right. 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 Interesting, sir. So, I mean, like when you stay with a character for so long, I mean, it's natural for an actor to develop an attachment to it. So, I mean, having said that, I mean, over the 3 seasons, through Sharad's evolution, of course, how did you approach the different phases of his character development?
See, it was quite of a graph.
Yeah.
I mean, from and also the way the character has progressed. मतलब वो
Yes.
एक engineering का student था who didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be a part of this world, but he
This was
was forced to come because his father was killed.
right.
He takes that oath that okay, now I want to live my father's dream.
Right.
गद्दी उसको चाहिए. And
Right.
then and what happened with the character was he probably was the only character which was very different from all other characters.
Right.
Like he never wanted to be part of this world. Everybody
But
else has a like they wanted somebody. Some people wanted gaddi, some people
but
wanted power, some
power,
people wanted this, but he didn't want anything.
control. Yeah.
They wanted control. They wanted to be like Guddu wanted to be like Munna. He
Munna.
want he wanted that style and everything. All
Right.
of, but he didn't want this. I mean,
Right.
the fact that he was born into this world, but still he would have heard, he would have seen all these things right from the childhood, but he never wanted to be a part of this world.
Right.
So such a person at a certain circumstance, at a certain juncture in his life, जब वो इंसान किसी वजह से अगर इस दुनिया में आएगा,
Hmm.
तो फिर वो क्या करेगा, उसकी
क्या
क्या अप्रोच होगी, उसकी सोच क्या होगी, वो हमने देखा सीजन 2 में.
तू
Where he comes and he makes his own ways. You see this guy, he's so, he's
very
probably the guy
intelligent.
who was, yeah, he's probably the guy who people really, saw कि अरे यार ये तो मतलब, he was like a shadow of Kaleen Bhaiya. He thinks a lot. He
Exactly.
strategizes. So all those things were definitely there in the character. So I had to work on that. कि वो कैसे होगा. Like I was, what I thought was challenging and what I really want to play on was कि जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो तो एक चीज है. The things which you're saying is a different thing, but also what he's thinking that needs to go across.
Yeah.
Audience need to connect with even his thoughts, the way he
Oh,
thinks, how he strategizes. In a situation, he takes time to respond.
right.
He's not impulsive. He's
Right.
not in a hurry to respond or do something. But again, he's also a young guy. So at times he's also impulsive. But still, in a situation, even under a threat, for example, the scene with Munna, first time when they meet,
Mm-hmm.
or the attack which they do on Guddu, all
Mm-hmm.
those things you see, he is in a situation of crisis, but he's taking a decision right at the moment. He's
Mm-hmm.
applying his brains and then doing the correct thing what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So धीरे धीरे वो सारी चीजें हुई. There were a lot of references which I saw. So my thing was कि, see, I knew that the character is placed in this crime world.
Mm-hmm.
वो तो ठीक है, मतलब वो गन उठा रहा है, वो ये चीजें कर रहा है, वो बाहुबली है, वो सारी चीजें सही है. But what needs to come across is a person.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of a person he is? So he's a person who has brains, who thinks, who evaluates. So I saw a lot of videos and a lot of people, in higher jobs, like for example, people from IAS, IPS, IFS, all these people who are so meticulous in what they say, in what they do. They have so much of clarity in their day-to-day things, what they are doing, their jobs, their work culture, and everything. They have clarity.
Clarity.
They have a very fine way of dealing with whatever they are dealing.
Right.
So and you see that there is a systematic thing which they have in their form, the way
Right.
they do everything. So all those
Right.
things I wanted to bring in this character because these are the things which would appeal. These are
To
the
the
things to the audiences.
yeah.
And it would also. I mean, that time it was my idea and ambition. I didn't know if it
Mm-hmm.
would land. That I realized later that okay, yeah, these things work. These
Mm-hmm.
these things have worked in the season. But that time, what I wanted to do was there
Mm-hmm.
should be a contrast in the way the situation is in this whole Mirzapur ka world.
Mm-hmm.
What he's doing, the contrast with the kind of person he is, the way
Yeah.
he's thinking. वो
Yeah.
सोच कैसे रहा है सिचुएशन में, जिस किसी और सिचुएशन में एक आदमी सीधा बंदूक निकालेगा या
Mm-hmm.
गाली दे देगा या एकदम दबंगिया स्टाइल में कुछ बोलेगा, लेकिन ये एकदम अलग है. सो
अलग है.
that contrast really stood out, I feel,
To the
and that was
right.
my idea. That would
Right.
also make him look different.
Look different.
And
Correct.
now in season 3, I mean, it's in season 2, he was still seen as an antagonist. But now
Yeah.
after season 3, that antagonist has just become the protagonist. And
Protagonist. Yeah.
now, the people are saying like he's been mounted like a hero. Like
Right.
even if you see and when I say hero, I mean the classical definition of a hero.
Hero.
Like even if we like whatever we have seen in our classical literature, like for
Yeah.
example, it's very like this time the tonality of the character and the way the drama builds up, it has a very Shakespearean
Yeah.
element, and also
Element. Shakespearean aspect to it. Yeah.
and also the way it ends. There's a
Yeah.
lot of what happens in, I don't know, like in something like Othello or
Othello.
Macbeth.
Macbeth. Yeah.
A character is mounted like a hero, and then at a point when he becomes invincible, when
Yeah.
he becomes the most powerful character,
Right.
that is the time you bring into that flip, that tragedy or the betrayal
Tragedy.
thing. Yeah, that you just drop the penny at that moment, and then it becomes dramatic. So
Dramatic.
that same thing, same trajectory, I think in this season, in season 3, Sharad had.
Right. 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 I was just getting to that because everyone, I am supposing that everyone has seen this season. So it's safe for me to ask this question. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
fear of giving spoilers, but Kaleen Bhaiya, he kills you in the end, and it's a very shocking twist. So, what was your reaction when you heard about Sharad's fate in this season? And did you have any input into how this storyline would conclude? His storyline would conclude.
I knew that this might be an end of season three before season two released.
Oh,
So I knew कि there might be this might be one of the endings which the makers, the director is looking at of
right,
season three.
right.
Pehle, it was supposed to happen in a very different way.
Okay, that was a different shift.
there was an ambush, there was an encounter, an ambush kind of a thing. Like there was a thing big, but I mean it was never developed. So it
Right,
was still in a very raw idea kind of
a
a
face
stage.
off kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So it was
Right,
like the idea was कि वो चक्रव्यूह में उसको आप वो फंसेगा and that is where he dies.
okay,
But
okay,
then as the story progressed to season three,
right,
and the way we the whole drama build up, like one there are two people, one is somebody who's already had the gaddi,
yeah,
and will he be able to take control of the gaddi,
control
and
of that.
and because of that control he would go down, he'll just go on to that madness wala streak,
Right,
Guddu, and Sharad would come out, emerge as a hero, and
right,
he would actually be seen, perceived by everybody
right,
that he should be the next king of Mirzapur. That is
right,
what the major arcs of the characters were.
right,
And having said that, and Dhire Dhire when we developed, so all those emotional layers started coming in, the emotional layer with Kaleen Bhaiya,
right,
the emotional layer with Madhuri, that was
right,
developed later because we knew where we are going.
right,
So it was also in a way that we were working backwards.
right, right, right.
When we knew that we have to end there, reach there, where Kaleen Bhaiya will actually kill Sharad, this would be a
Mm-hmm,
face-off between them. So we kind of worked backwards. See,
mm-hmm,
then what are the things which are important? So it was very important to have a very emotional graph with the Akhandanand Tripathi, Kaleen Bhaiya.
yeah,
There was a very important thing that the another emotional layer needs to be developed between him and Madhuri, because
Madhuri,
these were the two people, Madhuri और कालीन भैया से वो ट्रिगर होगा और निकलेगा
निकलेगा, correct,
the thing which would actually be a reason to
right,
execute Sharad. So it was
right,
very important that these things. So that's what I'm saying. It was a very well designed
well designed,
betrayal kind of a thing, very Shakespearean thing. This is what I say, the
right,
Shakespearean thing.
right,
So and yeah, and the thing, and in fact, if you see, like probably if you go back and see, and even if any of the viewers will have a second watch,
yeah,
everything is planted. And in the world of Mirzapur, when you go back, when you see any season again, you realize ki, oh, acha, haan, these were the things already there. Like, for example, there's a scene between me and Madhuri
yeah,
in fifth episode
yeah,
where we are having वो चाय पी रहे हैं हम लोग
mm-hmm,
and we are discussing things and I just say ऐसे ही मजाक मजाक में कि अरे बहुत प्रैक्टिकल हो, अगर जिंदगी में कभी इमोशनल और प्रैक्टिकल होने में चॉइस लेना पड़ गया तो 2 मिनट नहीं लगाओगी सोचने में. So
mm-hmm.
this is actually what there is a hint of. I mean, just like that. Just for the audience. Oh yeah, this is exactly what happened
This is
later.
exactly what, yeah,
She didn't even think twice when she thought कि नहीं, which she is finding कि वो सही नहीं है. उसने 1 सेकंड भी नहीं लगाया.
yeah,
And then there was a legacy thing between Akhandanand, between Sharad Shukla and
yeah,
Kaleen Bhaiya, which was
right,
placed in season one. That Rati Shankar Shukla and Kaleen Bhaiya had a history. They were
right,
friends together when they were young. So one contrast which was always there as a thread in the story, that Kaleen Bhaiya had a son which he never wanted. Like he
right,
wanted a son like who would be more उनकी तरह जो दिमाग से सोचे, जो उतना ज्यादा vulnerable ना हो. And
right,
Rati Shankar had a son who was like Kaleen Bhaiya.
Kaleen
So
Bhaiya,
this contrast was that Rati Shankar had a son. Probably if he would have had the Munna as a son, they would have been aligned together. And
right,
Kaleen Bhaiya would have had Sharad Shukla, they would be aligned together. So this was a
mm-hmm,
cross thing which was there in season one, but
mm-hmm,
it was never developed in the subsequent seasons. In
mm-hmm,
this season, there was a scope to bring Kaleen Bhaiya and Sharad together.
mm-hmm,
So the whole track of them being unsaid father and son chemistry was
mm-hmm,
developed because of that. So all the scenes were developed and the trajectory was laid in such a way that we progress towards a situation where you start seeing them as a perfect father-son combination.
mm-hmm,
And then, you'll come with the drama and all that.
right,
And as you said, I mean, I was lucky that my director has been open to suggestions. We had n number of, so my involvement in discussions and any kind of involvement and all that was restricted in season two. But
Mm-hmm.
in season three, there were a lot of discussions right from the writing stage that, okay, if there's a scene between Kaleen Bhaiya and Sharad, so what all conversations can you bring? What,
Mm-hmm.
like, अगर वो मिले हैं तो वो बात क्या करेंगे? क्या conversations हम
Mm-hmm.
ला सकते हैं? So
Mm-hmm.
I remember that, certain scenes where, if you remember in season three, when Kaleen Bhaiya is lying on the bed and
But
he
yeah,
comes and meets him and he says, Ki, I had only two choices. Either I could have saved you or I could have killed
huh.
Guddu.
Could do, yeah.
And then he says, Ki, you were the one who created the demon. You made
Mm-hmm.
him this. He was just a goon. You made him a big demon and all that. So that
Mm-hmm.
conversation I had with the director, we had together कि वो क्या conversation करें so that, Kaleen Bhaiya will listen to him. Because Kaleen
Mm-hmm.
Bhaiya, आप पहली बार देखते हो कि कोई कालीन भैया को ज्ञान दे रहा है. Why would he listen to it?
Right,
But because he makes sense.
right.
Because what he's saying is actually makes sense कि या उन्होंने ही तो किया और जो आपने
Right,
किया इस वजह से गुड्डू killed Sharad's father and your son Munna.
right, right.
So that conversation happened between me and Guru that, क्या
Mm,
बात करनी चाहिए, ये conversation हो सकता है क्या, ये
mm,
बात आनी चाहिए. And then बात करते 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 we used to arrive later on with the writer and dialogue writer कि क्या बातें होंगी. And yes, there used to be improvisations कि ये बात
mm,
ऐसे से ऐसे कह देते हैं. उसमें Guru has always been very open because I think there is a sense of dependency कि मतलब वो लैंग्वेज का पता है, कौन
mm,
सी बात लैंग्वेज में डायलॉग में कितनी अच्छी तरह से कही जा सकती है, वो
mm,
उनको अंदाजा है कि हाँ इसमें आई कैन बी इन्वॉल्व एंड आई कैन डू समथिंग.
mm,
So all those things, so it has always been playing off each other all
mm,
through the season in different scenes,
mm,
and it has mostly been ki what should be the trajectory, where can we go, what do
mm,
we say. So yeah, I mean that involvement has been always there
mm,
while the writing was on and the
mm,
conversations were on. And
mm.
even my physique, I had to transform my body, my
Yeah,
physique, I had to look in a certain way because there is a scene where I'm hitting Guddu. So
yeah.
that, I
That
mean,
physical
yeah,
strength has to come across.
yeah,
Yeah,
the strength has to come across. Even the image has to be like,
yeah,
if the season was based on these two people who are
yeah.
pitched against each other, the imagery has to be such that you look, yes, these are, the clash of the titans are happening between these two Bahubalis and they
Right,
look tough. So yeah,
right. Right. So, I mean, while the season has been receiving love and praises from all around, it is also being criticized for the deaths of two significant characters, and the overall screenplay. So, what are your thoughts on that, and whether you feel such criticism is it holds any merit?
definitely. See, I always feel, and I truly believe that art, any kind of art, it could be
Mm-hmm.
painting, it could be a book, it
Right.
could be a movie, it could be anything. It also triggers criticism. It
Mm-hmm.
always does not give you excitement,
Mm-hmm.
entertainment. That also it does,
Mm-hmm.
but it also needs to have a certain amount of criticism because only then the conversations will be open.
Yeah.
Like just
Correct.
imagine a conversation happening between two people where they are saying, okay, this is something I saw, it was great. And the other person is also saying, yeah, it was great. So conversation is over.
Mm-hmm.
There is no conversation. The
Mm-hmm.
conversation is and this is what is happening. Like conversation is exciting. Ki, okay, yeah, I don't think they should have killed this character. I don't think I mean this is better. This should have happened or
They
ये
should have.
होना चाहिए था वो होना चाहिए था मेरे हिसाब से ये ठीक नहीं है. अरे
Mm-hmm.
and the other person is saying कि नहीं नहीं मुझे लगता है कि ये सही है क्योंकि इसका रीजन ये है. So this kind of a distinct and a very different kind of a conversations are happening in real with people. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening on social media, it's happening between fans.
Between
So
fans.
yeah, so it is very important that you have discussions because Mirzapur now starting from season 1, 2, and 3 now it has gone to an area where it is developing and it is becoming bigger and bigger. It's
Bigger.
expanding.
Correct.
So the tonality will change,
Right.
everything will change. There will be like even like in this season there has been tremendous amount of scope which
Yeah.
sound designing and music had. Like
Yeah.
for the first time, this time Mirzapur is also being appreciated कि यार इस बार sound design कितना अच्छा है
अच्छा
और
है, हाँ.
music कितना अच्छा है, BGM
Music
कितना अच्छा है. In fact, we have released all the themes of this
हाँ.
season online also. There's an album which has
Was
been
also a
released.
rap by Raga. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying all these things are also happening. People are comparing it this season to Game of Thrones. Ki now it has become that kind of the kind of drama it has, the kind of unpredictability it has. the kind of progression it has in terms of its characters and everything, it is looking like
Even
Indian
in
game.
even in terms of shock value, I guess.
Yeah, so it is looking like Indian Game of Thrones they are
Yeah,
seeing. So
yeah,
I'm saying, yeah, a little bit of criticism is, I think it is,
healthy.
it's good, it's healthy. Rather, it should happen because only then any piece of art becomes art. With
Right,
other than if it's only excitement and entertainment, the conversation does just ends there.
right,
Little bit
right.
of criticism just makes me feel and us feel कि okay, it can definitely be called a good piece of art because थोड़ा
Hmm.
criticism भी है
जरूरी
और
है.
conversation भी है, and it's different. Like people, and see, the thing is such a big thing. Like for example, in season one, till now, since before we were promoting Mirzapur and everywhere, with journalists and even with general people, everybody say कि यार मजा बहुत आया, season
Mhm.
one was good, but लेकिन violence बहुत है. A lot of violence in the show, a lot of sex in the show, foul language, ये क्यों इतना, क्या लगता है आपको थोड़ा कम नहीं होना चाहिए?
Hmm.
Now just see, that was criticized. The biggest of the seasons were criticized
Yeah.
with all these things. Now after
Mhm.
season three, sex is come, it's low. There's very minimum foul
Me-
language.
me-
Violence is also very controlled, but still it's a different kind of criticism.
Yeah.
कि यार वो थोड़ा होता तो अच्छा होता. So basically, I think anything
People
which
can
is
never be satisfied.
anything, but I really take it in a very, and I think this emotion lies with all the makers and everybody
Yeah.
also, and this is something which we already knew.
Yeah.
This is not something which is like a big surprise. This is
Uh-huh.
already we knew
You you guys were anticipating it beforehand.
because the tonality was changing, which was very important. There are
Right.
characters, there are big deaths, big
Right.
losses which has happened. That
True.
has been reasons of the story to move on. So
Right.
this thing was gonna happen. Little bit of things will be there. There will be unpredictability. There will be things which will be new. और नई
Right.
चीजों में अक्सर ऐसा होता है कि अरे ये क्यों वो क्यों, बट इट
वो
जस्ट
क्यों?
टेक्स लिटिल टाइम टू सेटल. आई थिंक
Right.
नाउ आफ्टर 3 4 5 days that thing is settled, that initial rush and all that,
Right. Yeah.
and now people are just receiving it with what it is, and they are loving it, they're appreciating it.
Right.
And yeah, so this only tells us कि तब कुछ और criticism थे, वायलेंस बहुत था, इस बार वायलेंस कम है, तो अच्छा ठीक है वायलेंस कम है, लेकिन अगर ये होता तो,
ये
अगर
होता.
ये अगर शरद को ना मारते तो, अगर ये नहीं होता तो this always will continue. And what is good thing is कि if a show like Mirzapur is initiating a conversation, I
Hmm.
think that is the biggest thing and that is the most important thing.
Correct. 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 So yeah, that's it from my end. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
a pleasure speaking with you, and
Yeah.
congratulations, Mirzapur. And here's hoping to see you in more exciting roles.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Anjumm.
Bye. Bye.